Hi, everybody.
Hi, welcome to the polls. Woohoo!
We have everyone here.
Yes,
Yay.
everyone, and 30 items. So, yay. Let's start. We're going to let Adam go first.
Sure. So, yeah, no, it's a very small week, as Jen said. Nothing too terribly exciting. One of the things that I actually really like, Microsoft Defender for Office 365. I always like to try to specify what Defender we're talking about because there's 90 of them now. Defender for Office 365 is basically their tools that give you protection primarily around like email stuff at what used to be advanced threat protection. But Microsoft Defender for 365 is getting Zap alert enhancement. Zap stands for 0 hour auto purge. This is actually
I thought someone was actually getting zapped.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was so excited for a minute.
This is actually a really cool feature. The idea is basically, regardless of how good of a system people have, there's going to be stuff that eventually gets through the filters, stuff that people haven't seen before, things like that. Well, there's actually an option you can turn on. I was showing it to one of my clients the other day. When you go into the spam filter settings called Zap or 0 hour auto purge, and the idea is basically if you have that turned on and Microsoft retroactively determines a message might have gotten to your system that was potentially malicious or phishing or something like that, they will actually automatically go out and purge it out of your users' mailboxes for you. So it's not even an alert that they tell admins that admins have to go do stuff. If you have the feature turned on, they will actually go back and automatically do it for you, which is awesome, especially for tenants that are, short-staffed or maybe don't have a ton of technical expertise or whatever. But so more enhancements and stuff coming to that. It's already a feature that's alive, but they're basically saying they're enhancing the alert and introducing some new features with it as well too. So now when it does it, it'll actually even tell you it's doing it, which is cool.
Very cool. Cool. All right. How about you, Tom?
So I'm going to touch on a couple of OneNote items, which I think are kind of cool. Math Inc. Recognizer Service. So the Recognizer Service is part of the Math Assistant feature, and it converts handwritten ink in your notes to math equations for solving math problems. I think that is freaking awesome that it can take your scribbles, hopefully, and actually turn them into real live math equations that can then be worked out, because the second one is the Math Solver Service, which is part of the Math Assistant feature, and it helps students learn how to solve their handwritten math problems.
Does it help them or does it do their homework?
I'm going to say yes. I would have loved to have had this about 40-ish years ago. That would have been really nice to be able to do that and not have to, do everything on paper.
I'm even old enough to remember teachers telling me we wouldn't walk around with a calculator in our pocket.
Ha. So I think those two are really cool.
Very cool.
Okay.
How about you, Tamara?
I've got one. Microsoft Teams, mandatory comments for approval apps in Teams. So the Teams admin and approval template creators can enable mandatory comments for when an approver responds to a request. This has been a feature that has been asked for since the dawn of time. Can we force people to make comments when they're approving something? It does give you the space to provide comments, but there's nothing there that allows you to make it a required field, and this will do that. Yay. So that is rolling out to GCC and the enterprise tenants.
Cool. Now I've got one, and this is one that honestly is one of those little features that makes me go back into Outlook to use a calendar versus staying in Teams. So glad to see it in development. So Microsoft Teams calendar show meeting as. So when you're scheduling a meeting and you want to put it on people's calendars, sometimes you want to show it as free. Sometimes you want to show it as busy. Sometimes you want to show it as tentative. Like I don't always want to put, I hate it when people do this, but sometimes people want to schedule their vacation on my calendar and they want to show it up as free. Sometimes I want to schedule people for a day, but I want to show it as tentative because maybe we're just looking to maybe schedule an offsite or something like that. That is in development for coming to the calendar inside of Microsoft Teams. So excited to see that one in development there.
I always put my vacations on Jen calendar just to brag. Just be
you
like, hey,
never
I'm not
take
going to be here,
vacation,
just so
Adam.
you know. Well,
There's that
I
too.
take staycations of like days. I'll be like, I want to just be lazy today. One more from my side that I thought was cool. And this is actually super cool but nerdy. So like I realized me and the two people that are
Just
nerdy will
like
like this one.
you.
Yeah.
Super cool but nerdy.
For both
So
of you.
Microsoft Information Protection, optical character recognition, or OCR, which is the
I
technology
was
they
going to
use for
channel
lists
you
and
if you
stuff.
didn't take this one,
Yeah.
because I thought this needs to be mentioned.
It's super cool. So basically, OCR is now going to work with MIP labeling and Exchange Online and DLP. So what this means in practice is you've gone in and you've created an MIP label that says, I want to look for certain triggers inside of, files or something like that, and then put a label on it. So for instance, maybe I'm a hospital and I want to go and look for electronic healthcare information. And if it's electronic healthcare, I want you to label it as electronic healthcare information and then not let it leave the system or apply certain permissions or stuff, which is a super common thing that people do in security and compliance. And now that's going to be able to extend to images that have that same information in it, which is actually super technical and cool. So if you think about it, if you take a picture of a whiteboard that has patient record information on it, you'll theoretically be able to, through this technology, know, hey, wait, that's patient records, and actually apply the same type of label the same way you would in a document, which is just super powerful and super nerdy and super cool.
That is
Agreed.
really cool.
Very cool. Anyone else have anything for anything in development section?
Nope,
Nope.
I'm good.
Cool. All right. How about rolling out? Tamara, you can go first.
Okay, great. Microsoft 365 account switching for Microsoft 365 web apps.
That's a cool one.
Users can
Yes.
sign into multiple work and personal accounts on Microsoft 365 web apps in the same browser. This also allows them to seamlessly switch between the accounts without having to sign out and sign back in again. So excited I could just lie down by my dish. I'm so excited.
Well, I think for people who are consultants,
What, like an
who
old
work for
dog? Like
different
I'm just gonna
clients.
chill.
There you go.
Because someone could tell me
I'll
about
go pat her head after we get done here.
because I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah, but
Sorry, Tom.
no, that's fine. It's one of those things that if you're a consultant working for different clients, being able to go into those different clients without having to get completely out of the browser, sign back into a different one when you need to switch back and forth between maybe your current one and the one you're working with them, maybe copy and pasting things back and forth. That's a game changer for people. I know that's been a request of consultants for a long time.
Even for me, just doing like testing when you're going through and you're setting up a new client application, and like I have my global admin account that I'm using to log in, then I have the test user account that I do. Just being able to go through and do stuff like that is super nice.
Yep. I have one that I love, and I think I do this in every product, so it's rightly so that I'm going to do it for this one. Text prediction for Teams Mobile. Because if
Yes.
someone's going to just know what I'm thinking and type it, I appreciate it. So it is going to predict what I'm going to write, and it's going to help me reduce typos and save time. So I actually like it. It is pretty good at predicting what I'm writing. So I just love it if all my applications would type for me. And so we're getting there. Almost everything knows what I'm going to type. So rolling out now in Teams Mobile.
So
All right.
one that I saw that I kind of like, and that is the LinkedIn integration in Teams. So now your users are going to be able to see LinkedIn profiles of their colleagues in one-on-one chats. The LinkedIn profile is available via the LinkedIn tab in the one-on-one chat panel. Again, sometimes if you're just dealing with, hey, this is my coworker, I really don't care about that. But if you've got external people in your chat and you're like, who is this person? Give me some background, give me some context as to who they are. Being able to hit their LinkedIn profile and have an easy way to get there, I think is really great for being able to do more comprehensive conversations without thinking, oh, I'm just going to babble along till I figure out what this person's wanting or doing or who he is or something like that. So,
and this type of stuff has been prophesized since Microsoft bought LinkedIn. So nice to see it progression. So
I'm seeing more and more lately of the, hey, we're going to bring LinkedIn integration. We're going to bring it here. We're going to bring it here. We're going to bring it here. So I think they finally turned the corner and they're actually starting to do that now.
Yep. Well, another one I see is OneDrive easily navigate to all of your team's files from OneDrive. So I just like in OneDrive, we're adding a Your Team section to More Places, the More Places page to allow you to easily find and work with all your files. I just think the more they can make things easier so I can work with everything and find everything. I did a training the other day with a group of people who's trying to figure out, and they're actually moving from a file share to an Office 365 experience. And it was just seeing it again through their eyes. It was like, wait, there are actually people who really have just been in a file share up until this point, and this is all new to you. And like, wait, you
And
really
it's all
don't know how to
convoluted and
navigate? Like,
complicated. Yeah.
well, it's easier, I think, than what it was, but it
Yeah.
still really was. And then they'd click on something and say, well, why isn't there a link for this? Well, I don't know. And then they kept asking, well, what's the difference between this and this? Absolutely no difference at all. Well, why are they named different things? Absolutely no good reason.
Yeah. No, well,
Don't worry about it.
definitely
It will
too.
change again. They're
I'm sure.
absolutely the same thing.
I'm sure all of us on this call feel this way. I think it's a little bit easier to understand where all this stuff is we've seen the products grow and evolve over time. Like I'm sure all of us remember when there was no shared with me, shared with others section in OneDrive and stuff like that. So like it makes sense that that got added and we kind of think back to it. If you're just dropped into 365 right now with no prior exposure, it probably seems like there's integrations everywhere, then some integrations don't exist and you have no idea why, and there's no rhyme and reason. So I'm sure like I agree with Jen. The more that they can just give everyone access to everything from whatever they prefer to work in, the better.
Yep. Yep. And then it was like, well, just work the way you want to work. Work wherever you want to work. And if someone wants to work there, great. And if someone wants to work there, great. It's the same.
We're equal opportunity applications.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a good training. At the end, everyone was happy, and we held hands and did a little jig. It was great. It was great. Everyone was happy. No file share survived. We were great. All right. What else in rolling out, guys? Anything else?
I'm clean with rolling out.
I'm
All
good.
right. Tamara, take us into launched.
Microsoft Teams Connect. So with Microsoft Teams Connect, Microsoft is making it easier to collaborate with anyone outside of your organization. You can use Teams' full suite of collaboration capabilities with external partners in other Azure AD orgs the same way that you use them with colleagues from your organization. So shared channels enables people from different orgs to work together as one team in a shared space for a more structured, deeper, and longer-term collaboration.
I know Adam talked about this at length a couple sessions ago, how this is like, his nirvana.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is just rolling out to commercial right now.
Regardless, though, it's going to be so nice just having the ability to not have to log in and out of different teams.
Right.
Tenants every time you want to do it. Like I'm sure again everyone on this call has experienced that. I have different conferences that have me added and partner organizations and stuff, and like I don't keep up with any of them because it's so disruptive to my workflow to log out of my tenant, even if it's temporarily, and go look at theirs. And then, like, who knows the messages I miss from salespeople or my reports or clients or whatever. So I just mostly stay in my own tenant. But that means I have about 12 tenants added that I never do anything with. This will finally let me to actually integrate and collaborate. I have one nerdy one just 'cause I think it's cool. Microsoft 365 Groups ownership governance experience. So Microsoft has made enhancements to Office 365 Groups for a while. It's fairly common they'll come out with stuff. When they first made Groups, it was great and everything was wonderful, but they didn't have a lot of the management features of it. And Microsoft was also pretty vocal advocates of open group structures. Any user can create any group they want. So you just have groups running wild. So then they did stuff like auto expiration of groups and naming policies for groups. This is just another iteration along the line. What it's essentially designed to do is basically, it's really focused at ownerless groups. It will basically give you a view that will show you Microsoft 365 groups that currently don't have an owner. This could happen if someone was an owner and left the organization or something along those lines and they didn't get replaced. This will now give admins an easy way to to see what groups in their organization don't have owners, and also give you options of like emailing members of the group and asking, hey, y'all are all members of this group, it doesn't have an owner, who wants to take over ownership, stuff like that. So just better ways to do governance and management of the groups themselves. Because right now, for instance, if you go and do, for instance, the auto expiration of groups, every group that doesn't have an owner just emails the global admins. And in a long enough organization, you say, okay, well, I now have 500 groups that just emailed me asking if they need them, and I have no idea. So this will give you a way of kind of managing it for the people that are in the groups and ostensibly probably the ones who care about what that group is doing.
Say, Adam, I don't know. How many owners can you have for a Microsoft group? I mean, can you have more than one owner for a Microsoft group?
You can definitely have more than one owner. I don't know what the upper limit is. It probably does exist on something.
Right.
But yeah, you can have multiple owners. For instance, when I first came over to Planet, Jen and I co-owned all the managed services stuff. So.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, Tamara, I know there's one you like in here, so I'm going to let you take this last one.
Really?
I thought
New
so.
lobby setting.
Yeah, I figured that was Tamara.
Yeah, for GCC customers. A new lobby setting. I'm just excited they have meeting options. Because DoD doesn't even have meeting options right yet. It's supposed to be rolling out this month, but I'm not going to hold my breath because it was supposed to come out in March. New lobby setting for GCC to only allow the invited users to join directly. So if it's important to know who exactly is in your meeting and your meeting gets forwarded, those people would be put into the lobby and you would have to admit them. Whereas the people who you invited to this meeting would automatically be admitted to the meeting. So
I can see if you're doing
exciting.
GCC high stuff, you're going to want more control over that because you're not going to want people
Right.
just wandering into things they shouldn't be listening to.
Right.
Cool. Well, anyone else, anything for launched?
Nope.
All right. Well, then the last one that we have is canceled. And this one makes me giggle a little bit because I'm sure lots of people were waiting for it. Just kidding. But Microsoft Teams, a branded lobby experience for the desktop. So nothing available for the branded lobby in the desktop for the. It's been delayed to the unforeseeable future. So they'll communicate when it's available and coming again. So no branded lobby experiences for us when we're waiting for a meeting. Well, when we start to be able to easily get in between tenants, it might be important to know whose lobby we're waiting in. But for right now,
true. For right now, it's
no
just going to
lobby
be like
for
that.
you.
I'm about to say it's just going to be like one really anal HR person that really wants this and no one else who cares.
I really want this because I want to brand it as a tiki bar. So I was just in the tiki bar waiting to get into the meeting. Takes on a whole new meeting and is work appropriate.
I love it.
I know who you work with, and I can assure you, not one of them is going to brand theirs as the tiki bar, except for maybe me for our team meetings. I'm just saying, but not one of your customers is going to do that.
I know. It's sad but true.
Sad but true. Sad but true. All right, guys. Well, thank you for recording with us. We'll see you next week for another episode of The Pulse. Thanks,
Have a good one,
everybody.